الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين محمد وأهل البيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما الإمام المنتظر الحجة الثاني عشر روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء أما بعد السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر أخذ مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين ولا أولاد الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد، Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, hope everyone is well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept everyone's azadari for Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, and everyone have the tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go for the Ziyarah of Mola Hussayn alayhi salam. Today, as last time, I started discussion on Ziyarah Arba'in, but I did not complete it. Inshallah, today will be an introduction session, and inshallah, then I'll continue with the position of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam in Ziyarah Arba'in. I would like to start off with the hadith from our Imams alayhi salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إن لقتل الحسين حرارة في قلوب المؤمنين لا تبرد أبدا. Surely for Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, in the hearts of every believer there is this heat, لا تبرد أبدا, which will never extinguish. Now, Alhamdulillah, this is a ni'matul uzma from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the Shias itself, that we have this wila and love for Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, which this does not extinguish. And to understand this, that this is something which we have been born intrinsically or genetically, we have been born with this gene within us. This is mentioned in a hadith as well. And also in regards to this, there is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well, to for you to understand that this hadith, inna li qatl al-Husayn hararatun fi qulub al-mu'minin la tabrudu abada, this is a great ni'mah which we, the Shias, the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim, have been born with. And there's a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which further emphasizes this meaning. This hadith is from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Say, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, inna lil Husayn, inna lil Husayn. Surely for Imam Hussain alayhi salam, fi bawatin al mu'minina ma'rifatun maktubatun sal ummaha anhu. So this is a hadith from Bihar Anwar, where it says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says about the position of Abu Abdullah, that this is a blessing and a miracle of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, that 1400 years have passed, that the dhikr and the remembrance of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam is not decreasing, but it is increasing every year itself. Why? Because it is the position of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed the dhikr of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam eternity. It's a mu'jiza itself. It's a miracle that Imam Hussain alayhi salam's dhikr is increasing year by year. And even the poets, the nohas which we recite every year, ulama and scholars and reciters, they bring a new dimension to the azadari of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. This is one of the miracles in the dhikr of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. And this wila and this love which we have, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, inna lil Husayn fi bawatin mu'minin. So the word batan and bawatin means it is embedded in the believers. Ma'rifatun maktubatun. And it is a writ and acknowledging, ma'rifatun maktubatun. It is an understanding, a recognition which has been inscribed. Sal ummaha anhu. Ask his mother. Say the sal means sa'ala yas'alu. Sal ummaha anhu. Ask about it from Sayyidah Fatima Zahra Salamu alayha, meaning that this love which we the Shias have within our hearts embedded, that every year we the Shias yearn to cry for Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. This is something which Sayyidah Fatima Zahra Salamu alayha and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is a covenant and a promise between Allah and Sayyidah Fatima Zahra Salamu alayha that people will cry and shed tears for Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, and it is the result of the dua of Fatima Zahra Salamul alayha. We the Shias have been blessed that we yearn and cry and mourn upon Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. So this is a great ni'mah, and it is due to the maqam of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. As you may be aware that maybe in Ayam Fatima, I didn't mention this before, that as we recite the Ziyarah of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, we say Assalamu alayki ya mumtahanaki qabla an yakhlukaki. Peace and salutation be upon Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, Salamullah alayha, that she gave an imtihan qabla an yakhlukaki, before she was created. And that test which she has gave, we are not aware. This is the maqamat of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, that before she was created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put her through trials and tribulations. What these trials and tribulations were, we are not aware. This is a maqamat of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra salamul alayha, and even ulama say we are not able to understand this maqamat and what were the trials and tribulations. But this is one of those things, one of the secrets of Fatima Zahra for Mawla Hussain alayhi salam, which she has made a promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a ni'mah. And then in another hadith, to understand that this wila and love which is for Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, there's another beautiful, and this is in a ziyarah. Anyone who is going to give lectures on this or wants these references in Arabic, just message me and I'll send them across to you. But inshallah, you should be able to write this down with your own handwriting, because you've done enough Arabic for the past few years. Now, there's another wording which has been mentioned as well, which is again amazing for us to understand that we have been blessed with the ni'mah. It says in the hadith, qabruhu, meaning the word qabr, grave. Qabruhu, meaning qabr of Mola Hussayn alayhi salam. So first hadith I recited, inna li qatl al-Hussayn hararatun fi qulub al-mu'minin. This is this light, this burning love for Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. We not merely have this love for Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, but in this hadith further, it further elaborates and makes us understand that this is one of the greatest ni'mah which we have been blessed with. In this is from a ziyarat of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam, where it says, qabruhu fi qulubin man walahu. Qabruhu fi qulubin man walahu. Meaning the grave of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam has been deposited or made in fi qulubin man wala. It is in the hearts of those who love him. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the hearts of the Shias the grave of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. Why? What is the significance of having a grave? The reason why you would have a grave, or when normally understanding of a grave is that when you go to a loved one or a beloved grave, it brings about grief and tears and emotions. And this is one of the reasons why is that it's mustahab to go to graveyards every week and visit them, so that you remember that this is the place you're going to return, and it brings about memories of your loved ones when you go to the grave of your parents itself. And when we have the grave of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam in our hearts, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the Shias in such a manner that Allah does not want you to forget the dhikr of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. Qabruhu. When you see a grave, it reminds you of traumas. And Ahlul Bayt salam are the first and the primary individuals who have the who have inherited this grief of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam biologically. This is mentioned in the hadith of Imam Raza alayhi salam that أورثنا الكرب أورثنا الكرب والبلاء بعد انقضائه. This is one of the Ziyarah of Imam Raza alayhi salam hadith, where Imam Raza alayhi salam says that after the event of Karbala, we, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, inherited in our genes the martyrdom and the trauma of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. So this is something which Imam Rada alayhi salam has mentioned. And all of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have emphasized the dhikr uh, and the musibah of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. As you know, the hadith, La yawma kayomika ya Abu Abdullah. The Imams alayhi salam said, there is no day like the day of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, meaning the 10th of Ashura. And even this hadith which I have recited to you, that Imam Rada alayhi salam said that we have inherited the grief of the martyr of Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. There is another hadith which I would like to add and make it further more clearer for yourselves. That this hadith is from our Imams alayhi salam, where he says that in this hadith, this is from our Imams alayhi salam, again, to understand that the Musibat of Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam um, is something which all of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim participate in, this dhikr of Abu Abdullah, and all of them weep tears and cry and lament. It says in the hadith, and the status of the Shias as well is mentioned in the hadith, إِذَا حَلَّ إِذَا حَلَّ حَلَالُ مُحَرَّم. So this is again from our Shia books, and I'll give you the ahadith if you need this. Just bring it onto the screen. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, إِذَا حَلَّ حَلَالُ مُحَرَّم نَشَرَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Nashara yanshiru means to disperse, spread. نشرت الملائكة قميص الحسين وهو مخضب بالدماء فنراه نحن ومن أحبنا نراه بالبصيرة. In this hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, إِذَا حَلَّ, when the crescent of the first of Muharram is sighted on the horizon, the angels display, nashara, display, qamis al-Hussein, the drained, stained shirt of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, wa huwa mukhadhabun, and it is stained and drained with the blood of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. فَنَرَاهُ نَحْنُ, we are able to see with our naked eye, the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّنَا وَمَنْ أَحَبَّنَا, and whoever loves us, نَرَاهُ بِالْبَصِيرَةِ, they will be able to see this shirt of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam with their insight, with their inner feelings and sentiments. La bil basar, not with their eyes. So this is one of the ni'mas which we, alhamdulillah, have been blessed with. And even to understand Ziyarat Ashura, I need Ziyarat Arba'in. There's one aspect I want to touch upon, and inshallah, next session I will connect it with this, is that we recite in Ziyarat Ashura, and inshallah, I will try to do Ziyarat Ashura's commentary as well. In Ziyarat Ashura, there's a word, Allahumma inni atakarrabu ilallah. Allahumma inni atakarrabu ilallah wa ila rasulihi wa ila amir al-mu'minin wa ila Fatima wa ilayka bimawalatik. Now this is very, very interesting, and it's for those who are spiritual and those who want to gain spirituality. This is a secret itself in Ziyarat Ashura, which is mentioned for us to understand. Allahumma, first of all, Allahumma inni atakarrabu ilallah. Oh Allah, I seek closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Atakarrabu ilallah. And there's one verb. Allahumma inni atakarrabu ilallah. One verb, and there are several conjunction. أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإليك بموالاتك. In this ziyarat, you are seeking the closeness of Allah, the closeness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the closeness of Amir al-Mu'minin, the closeness of Sayyida Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. How? Wa ilayka bimawalatik. Towards you by bimawalatik. By the word mawalat, bimawalatik. By the word mawalat, it comes from waliya yali, and mawalat means by being your true follower itself. So with the word mawalat, those who have done Arabic, and you should be able to understand, this is the babi mufa'ala. So babi mufa'ala, as you may remember, we did the verb um, qatala, yuqatilu, muqatala. So there is a two-way exchange between two individuals. Or when we say muwasala, correspondence, wasala, yuwasilu, muwasalatan. When there's a correspondence between two individuals, you use the verb mufa'ala. Or for example, um, when you the other word I can give you example is dharaba, yudharim, mudharaba. When you hit each other. So the word waliya yali means to follow, and mawalat here, it means to follow the footsteps of Aba Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam. Mawalat. Waliya yali means to follow, and mawalat means the ruling of tabi. And as you know that the ruling of sifa mawsuf, those within Arabic, that we mentioned in Arabic lessons, that always the adjective follows the mawsuf, the thing which is being described. So tabi matbu. So I want to become close to Allah, Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'minin, and Sayyidah Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. How? By following yourself. Meaning that the dhikr of Aba Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, following the example of Aba Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, is the greatest way of fulfilling the ibadah of Allah, Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'minin, and Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. Becoming close to Mola Hussain alayhi salam, it is becoming close to Allah, Rasulullah, Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, and Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam. And this is the reason why that the dhikr of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam is so great and unique. And the dhikr of Mola Hussain alayhi salam, the all of the different rituals, crying, grieving, reciting majalis, making people cry. There is so much reward in this, because this dhikr and this sacrifice of Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam is so pure. In purity and sincerity, it is for lillah. And that's one of the reasons why um, in ahadith, when we come to ahadith and the topic which we're discussing, it's Ziyarat Arba'in and Ziyarah itself. In this hadith, and inshallah I'll maybe conclude on this. It says, man arada Allahu bihi al khair. Man arada, arada Allahu bihi al khair. For whomever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires khair. Khair is the goodness. And the khair, and also khair, inshallah, maybe another time, there is a nahar, a river in heaven, which is also called khair. And the spring and the source of this is the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, another time. And the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim are the source of that khair. Man arada bihi al khair. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires goodness for a person, qadhafa. Qadhafa comes in the meaning of rama yarmi. Rama yarmi, to throw, cast. قذف في قلبه حب الحسين وحب زيارته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala casts, inserts, puts in the hearts of those who he desires goodness for him, حب الحسين, the love of Mola Hussain alayhi salam, وحب زيارته, and the love for going for the ziyarat of Mola Hussain alayhi salam. And then the hadith continues. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ بِهِ and the hadith continues, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires bad for someone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put in his heart بغض بغض الحسين or بغض زيارة الحسين. That whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires that a person is going to be detested and hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the tawfiq of the love of Mola Hussain alayhi salam is withdrawn from his heart, and the tawfiq of him to go for the ziyarat of Mola Hussain alayhi salam is taken away from him. Meaning that Mola Hussain alayhi salam is the central point to see whether you are a mahbub of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from what I have read, there is no Imam for whom ziyarat this has been narrated. Man zara kabr al-Husayn kaman zara Allahu ala arshi. Man zara kabr al-Husayn kaman zara Allahu ala arshi. That whoever desires to visit the grave of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, kaman, ka kai tashbih, like kaman zarallahu ala arshi. It is as if you have visited the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the proximity of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala due to his great sacrifice itself. And finally, we, the Mawalin of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, sometimes need to evaluate ourselves and our love for the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And a question which I would like to put forward: does anyone know that how do we, the Shias of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim, the Shias of the believers of the 12 Imams, how do we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is or having his mercy upon us, or his blessings upon us, his mercy upon us? Has anyone thought of that? How do we know that we are? Because every person, as you know, that all the five fingers are not equal itself. Shias are not equal as well. Everyone is on different maqamat. But how do we know? In this hadith, it says, if a person wants to see that if he is from Ahlul Jannah, if a person wants to see, if a person wants to see whether he is beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he is going to be amongst the people of Jannah, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have said that you have to become not you. They have made Mola Hussain alayhi salam the criteria. They have said, let me read you this hadith. Let me just bring the hadith. Right? Hadith is follows. It's from Kamil al-Ziyarat. It says, Man arada. I read the Arabic so that if you want to narrate this further and mention this further to Mu'minin, so you have the Arabic text as well. Man arada an ya'lama annahu min ahlil jannah. Whoever wants to know, to see whether he is amongst the people of heaven. فَلْيَعْرِضْ فَلْيَعْرِضْ حُبَّنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهِ. He should display the love of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim upon his heart and measure it. How? فَإِنَّ قَلْبَهُ فَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. And surely if his heart is a mu'min, وَمَنْ كَانَ لَنَا مُحِبًّا, and whoever is a muhib, وَمَنْ كَانَ لَنَا مُحِبًّا. What's the criteria? How do we know that Ahlul Bayt and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves? Now the hadith explains. وَمَنْ كَانَ لَنَا مُحِبًّا فَلْيَرْغَبْ فَلْيَرْغَبْ لام التأكيد ف so therefore فَلْيَرْغَبْ في زيارة قبر الحسين عليه السلام. Indeed, he should yearn to visit the grave of Mola Hussayn alayhi salam. This is from Kamilu Ziyarat. And then the hadith says, فَمَنْ كَانَ لِلْحُسَيْن, and whoever is from Mola Hussayn alayhi salam, زُوَّارًا. Zuwaran. Now, the word Zair is singular. Zuwar is sighatul mubalagha, that he does not have, mashallah, there are people who are live and so those who are watching outside of the group. How many of you, my brothers and sisters, have been for the Ziyarah of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam? This is the true sign of the completion of our azadari, of our 10 nights or 10 days of Ashura, or 3 months and 10 days itself. 2 months and 10 days, it's fulfilling of this azadari. It is to become a Za'ir of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam. And then the hadith says, فَمَنْ كَانَ لِلْحُسَيْنِ زُوَّارًا عَرَفْنَاهُ بِالْحُبِّ لَنَا أَحْلَ الْبَيْتِ. So the more we go, the more the maqamat will be increased, alhamdulillah. And this is, all of our ulamas have emphasized the Ziyarah of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam. It says, وَمَنْ كَانَ فَمَنْ كَانَ لِلْحُسَيْنِ زُوَّارًا, and not a Za'ir once in 50 years. No, go as many times, abundance impossible every year. فَمَنْ كَانَ لِلْحُسَيْنِ زُوَّارًا عَرَفْنَاهُ بِالْحُبِّ لَنَا Ahlul Bayt. And once you become a Zawwar of Mola Hussayn alayhi salam, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam said, Arafnahu, we know him that he is the lover of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Wa kana min Ahlil Jannah, and he will be from amongst the people of Jannah. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِلْحُسَيْنِ, and then the Imams alayhi salam have said, وَمَنْ كَانَ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِلْحُسَيْنِ زُوَّارًا, and whoever is not a frequent visitor of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam, kana naqis al-iman, he would be with a incomplete iman. And the meaning of the incomplete iman, it means that he would not be amongst the neighborhood of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. Naqisul iman. Of course, some other hadith say that he will not even go, he will not be even, as Alamatul Mu'min is Ziyarat Arba'in itself. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tawfiq that we can go for the Ziyarat of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam every year, and Arba'in, and as many times as possible. The Ziyarah of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam is such a unique ziyarah that even in poverty, even when you are rich, the Ziyarah of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam never becomes abrogated or never becomes unapplicable. It always remains applicable in regardless of whatever state you're in. And finally, I will mention one story and I'll end on this. There was this khadim of Mullah Hussain alayhi salam, and I will end on this point. I'll give you the reference if you want. This is I can't remember top of my head now, but there's the, I have read this and I read this myself recently. There was a khadim Mullah Hussain alayhi salam, and he used to travel every month. This is the maqam of a zaid, that he used to travel every month from his location where he was living to Karbala every month. And in 1 year, he used to perform how many ziyarat? If he went every month? 12 ziyarat. Exactly, 12 ziyarat a year. And then came a stage that he became quite frail, he became weak, and he became elderly. And this month, he was not able to go for the ziyarat of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam due to his health itself. He knew that he is coming near to his death, and he was yearning to go for the ziyarat of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. He tried, he slipped, and with support and difficulties, he reached the following month, the following month for the Ziyarah of Mola Hussayn alayhi salam. He went to the Zari, kissed the Zari, performed his namaz, and then later on he fell asleep either in his hotel or either in his accommodation, and he met Aba Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam. Mullah Hussain alayhi salam says to him, "Oh, our lover, you was a great lover of me. Lima jafawtani. Lima jafa. The word lima jafawtani. Why have you been unfaithful to me? Only by missing 1 month ziyarat of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam met him in the dream and said, why have you been unloyal, unfaithful to me by not me being able to visit to me? And then he mentioned his reason itself. This is the love which Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam has for Israel. And the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, I was planning to end here, but I've come to a point that I have to add this point as well now, is that we the Shias, not only, this is a really important point, that we the Shias not only share the grief of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, that when as you know, there's a hadith from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, it says, um, our Shias yafrahuna بفرحنا ويحزنون بحزننا. Our Shias are the ones who are happy when happy occasions are occurring with us. ويحزنون بحزننا. Our Shias are the ones who are happy with our happiness and they grieve with our grief itself. Now, the question which I'm going to put forward to yourself is that yes, for Ashura, for Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, we have this grief. Now, the question for you to think, brothers and sisters, is that do the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam have feelings for us? And when the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are in grief, do we also get grieved because of that grief? Yes, we do. And I will mention two hadiths and I will end on this point. There's a hadith that in this hadith it says, Inna shi'atana khuliqu min sa'iri dinina. Inna shi'atana khuliqu min sa'iri dinina. That our Shias are the ones which have been created from our deen, meaning our clay, meaning the remaining clay of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam is the clay from which we the Shias have been created from. Meaning that, and as you know, that it is a customary thing. What do we do? And the greatest turbat, it is a turbat of what one alim has said, that the greatest and the most Azim turba on this earth is the turbat of Karbala. And we, the Shias, have been created from the tinat. Our genetic, our gene, our bones have been created from the teen of Karbala. And this is one of the reasons that when a newborn child is born, what do we do? When we have a newborn child in our house, the first thing we do is that we give him tahniq, that we mix a mixture of furat or zamzam water with haki shafa. Why? It's because it's trying to reprogram, because what we have promised before we was created, we forget, we don't know. So we reprogram, we reconnect. It's like giving a jump lead to a flat battery and give it power again. We give them deen because we want him to remind our children that, oh, my child, you have a ahad with Mullah Hussayn alayhi salam to become a khadim of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam. And that is one of the reasons it's mustahab to give haqq shafa in his mouth. So that the first asl turbat, which is creator, he is attached and creates that bond with it again. Now, the hadith of our Imams alayhi salam, and I'll probably end on this. قال أبو عبد الله عليه السلام إن الله عز وجل خلقنا من إليين. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said that we, the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim, have we created. This is another hadith from Illiyin, the great, from the earth, the earth or the dust of heavens. وَخَلَقَ أَرْوَاحَنَا مِنْ فَوْقَ ذَلِكَ, and our earth and our bodies have been created from a creation about higher than that, meaning a maqam which is higher than Illiyin. وَخَلَقَ أَرْوَاحَ شِيعَتِنَا مِنْ إِلِّيِّينَ, and the ruh of our Shias, the soul of our Shias, have been created from the earth of Illiyin. From Illiyin. Oh Shias, know your maqam itself. وَخَلَقَ أَجْسَادَ مِنْ دُونَ ذَلِكَ, and however, then when they come to this earth, their bodies, and they are created from the locality, but the asal creation of them is from Illiyin, the earth, and from the local dust. But the asal itself is always, as you know, everything returns back to its asal, its origin. And as you know, I'll give you an example that whenever we are away from our houses, or whenever we have gone to foreign lands and we are away from our parents, and when we miss anyone, who is the most unique individual or personality when we miss? Our parents, and it's in particular your mother. And you, as you know, that you've may had, and mashallah, many of you are mothers and fathers. You know that sometimes your mother, sometimes, beta, aaj mera ye jo halat kuch kaifiyat nasaz hai. I feel, and she says sometimes, your mother, I feel unwell. I don't know the reason why for this. And sometimes you realize that the mother has feeling this, and this natural attachment with the children. Maybe your son is ill in a foreign country, and this happens. Similarly, is the case with us as well, the Shias, that we have also a biological and a emotional attachment with the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. When the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are ill, and when we have that, this feeling of uncomfortable, or feeling of despair, and sometimes feeling of this grief within you. The Imams alayhi have said that whenever you feel this grief, know that the Ahlul Bayt alayhi are in the state of grief itself. So this is a feeling which we have within us, that sometimes is expressed within us by the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. When the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim are grieving, we are also grieving. When we have this feeling and sentiment for no reason, we feel this sadness, and sometimes this abnormality, with abnormal behavior sentiments within us. This is why, because we the Shias have been created from the deen of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. And sometimes you feel happy. This is because the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim are happy. This is mentioned ahadith. And then it says, وخلق أرواح الشيعة من إليين وخلق أجساد من دون ذلك فمن من أجل ذلك كان القرابة بيننا وبينهم ومن ثم تحن قلوبهم إلينا. And because of this attachment of this dinat, because of, as I mentioned, the example of the mother and child, same is the case with us and the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. That is the reason why the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim are always remembering us. And sometimes we, oh Shias, remember that. Do not cause grief upon the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. When the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim see the Shias are not being the best of the Shias itself, not fulfilling their wajibat, I'll share that in the group, inshallah, this hadith, because I know many of you have not heard this. I'll share the Arabic so that you have this. It says that the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim are having grieving, and grieving, or are having happiness. And then in another hadith from our Imams alayhi salam in regard to this, this is from Imam, this is from Imam Radha alayhi salam. It says, ما من أحد من شيعتنا يمرض إلا بمرضنا لمرضه. ما من ما من أحد من شيعتنا يمرض إلا بمرضنا لمرضه ولا اغتم إلا اغتممنا لغمه. There is no Shias from amongst us that when he becomes yamrudu, he becomes sick, illa maradna, that we become sick li maradihi, because of his sickness. And then the hadith continues itself. I will share this in the group, and finally I will end on this. And then the final point I will end on this. Our Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim who we follow are so compassionate and merciful that they, Ilahi Ameen, give you tawfiq. The love of our Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim, as you know, there's a hadith where it talks about the benefits of the love of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim being 99, and some of the benefits are in this dunya and the rest in the akhirah. The Imam Musa Qadim alayhi salam has said, Inna Allah, sometimes when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unhappy with his Shias and wants to chastise them, like a mother, a loving, caring mother. When a mother sees a child going to burn his hand in the heater itself, or is going to put it in the fire, the mother will run and would put her own life in danger for the sake of her children, to protect them. The Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim are mentioned in hadith, they're more merciful than our own mothers. And in this hadith, it mentioned Imam Musa Qadim alayhi salam that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to um, chastise a Shia, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam intervene and absorb that chastisement which is going to fall upon the Shias upon themselves. This is the mercy of the Shias. Why? Because we have the blessing of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim, because we are grieving for that grief. Due to that grief and due to the happiness, we celebrate and we mourn because of this maqam which we have achieved, and we have the wilad of Mola Ali alayhi salam. The Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim protect us in this dunya from all types of evil. I'll read this hadith and I'll end on this hadith, inshallah. Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi salam, Inna Allah khayyara bayna adhab shiyate wa sijne, فيختار أن يسجن أن يسجد ويقتل فداء للشيعة. Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi salam says that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to chastise the Shias, we would choose that we take this away from our Shias due to the maqam of our Shias itself. And one final hadith. There are, again, there's several other hadiths which I could mention, which I'll read. This is the one I was looking for. Now, again, apologies for a slight prolonged program, but I'll end on this. Our Imams alayhi have finally have said this about the maqam and this affection and love, which is a mutual thing between the Ahlul Bayt and us. And it says, Wallahi, our Imams alayhi have said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inni. Our Imams have said, Inni, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Inni la ahibbu rihakum. Allahu Akbar. Oh, Shias, understand, we love your fragrance, your smell. Wa arwahakum, and your souls. Inni la uhibbu. Lam ta'kid. La uhibbu rihakum, your fragrance, your smell. Wa arwahakum, and your ruh. Wa innakum ala dinillah wa din malaikati. Surely you are on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim and the path of the Malaik. fa'in, and then Imam says, fa'inu biwara'in wal ijtihad. So try to um, make yourself seek assistance by being God fearing and struggle towards goodness in ijtihad, meaning be eager in doing good things itself. So this is, and of course, there's the other hadith which talks about the qualities of the Shias. But I wanted to conclude that the importance of the Ziyarah of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam, that this is a great ni'mah. And whenever you want to see whether you are uh, amongst the lovers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whether the Ahlul Bayt Muslim love you, see whether you have been given the tawfiq of not becoming a Zaid once in 50 years. No, become a Zawwar of Abu Abdullah Hussayn alayhi salam. And finally, and as mentioned the story to you about this Khadim of Mola Hussayn alayhi salam, who was visiting Mola Hussain alayhi salam every month, but because of his illness, he could not. Imam met him in the dream and said to him, "Why are you being unfaithful for me? For indeed, when you came to us, you was a great and a loyal servant. But why have you been unfaithful to us?" So, if we have not never visited Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, in which category will we come in? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq that we can always remember Abu Abdullah Hussain and follow the footsteps of Ahlul Bayt al and give us a tawfiq that we can become amongst the Ansar of Imam Zamana Ajjalhu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum.